Good evening. I expect Jake will be here. He's the chair, of course. But if he can't, we don't have to have a quorum or anything, although we have it, I guess. We'll just wait a second.
The only thing I saw on the agenda was the report from MPD. Did he have something else on the agenda that I missed? Nope, there he is.
Hi, Al. Sorry, took me a minute to get in.
You're good.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
Not bad, yeah.
Good. Well, it is 7 p.m. on Wednesday, May 10th, and I am calling to order the meeting of the ANC 1C, ABC, and Public Safety Committee meeting. We have with us Commissioners Peter Wood and Barney Shapiro. And also it looks like we have Lieutenant Miller, who should be here to do the public safety update from 303. So if you want to raise your hand, Lieutenant Miller, then we can promote you and we can do that.
There you go. All right, I'm here.
Awesome. Thanks. How are you doing tonight?
Not too bad. I'm just introduce myself. Lieutenant Stephen Miller. You might have worked with Curtis Miller. He works on the day work tour, but I'll be handling the evening meetings. So glad to be here. I'll give a
Glad to have you.
a brief overview of what's happened the last 30 days in PSA 303. For violent crimes, we've had 4 robberies. The most recent one was April 28th, and that happened at Popeyes. They got robbed. Somebody walked in there with a gun, ski mask on, and took the whole cash register. One of the cashiers or employees chased after them. The guy dropped the whole till, but ended up getting the cash. So we got to look out for him. Unfortunately, we weren't able to catch him that day. So they got a bolo out for that individual. The other one happened on April 23rd on Ontario. 2 victims were robbed with a gun. All their cash and their belongings were taken, and officers actually were able to catch the 2 suspects. There's 2 juveniles. I don't have much more on that because most of the information was redacted. Everything else happened earlier in April. So we had a robbery on 17th Street, a robbery on Lanier Place, and then on April 10th, there was a carjacking. The victim was riding her moped, and then 2 juveniles knocked her off the moped at a traffic light and stole her moped, which was recovered in Columbia Heights, neck of the woods, PSA 302. Overall, for a year to date, there's only been, let's see here. So they're up. This month is up 5 robberies. Last month you only had 2. The carjacking had 1. You had 0 last time, but everything else is down. Theft from autos are down. Theft from autos were down this month. Only thing year to date. Over on the district, most of the stuff is up, but in PSA 303, most of those other stats are down. So that's basically what I got. If anybody has any questions or concerns, you can ask me or shoot me an email. But I'm open to anything.
What time were the 3 robberies that you listed?
Well, the Popeyes one happened at 11 p.m. The Ontario Road one happened at 8 p.m. The carjacking on Columbia Road in Quarry happened at 7 p.m. So around dusk, dark. I'm not sure what time Popeyes closes, but that's probably getting close to what Popeyes closing time is for that one. So nighttime, most of the stuff's in nighttime. And the Popeyes was the only robbery of establishment. Everything else was individuals.
Thank you, Lieutenant Miller. I see Commissioner Wood. If you want to go ahead.
So this is something it's a kind of a general comment question, but we've talked about in this committee. Mayor had an ANC commissioners meeting where it was discussed. I didn't get to watch it today because I was working, but I assume it was discussed today as well at the other business-oriented public safety meeting. A lot of people are citing, the long-term trends of stats for violent crime and really all crime in DC in general are going down. It's not equal across all precincts, but that's the general trend, but it's still high
Yeah.
compared to what we'd like, which is zero. But that's a lot of people have been saying, and I think experiencing, myself included, that there's something is different, that it's, there's a trend line, but there's also some sort of other element just to what people are feeling and they don't match up. Is that something that you've discussed, or does it reflect what you're kind of seeing? And does that make sense? Or just what kind of context can you give to that?
I know a lot of these cases, I mean, they're happy. I mean, like you said, throughout the city, I mean, I don't know what stats people are citing. I'm just looking at our district and I can give you the overall for the city, and just about every single stat is up. Burglaries are down across the city. For our district, burglaries, they're down as well. This month we didn't have any burglaries, so we had zero. But overall, the city, just about every single stat is up. I mean, homicides, we have 76 so far. We had 70 last year. Sexual abuse, assault with dangerous weapons, robberies, motor vehicle thefts are up big time. They're double. They're over 100% stolen autos, and that's mainly with those Kias and the Hyundais. Thefts. So, and a lot of the stuff, I mean, the ones I listed today in PSA 303 all happen at night, but on evenings, most of the ones, I mean, I'm the watch commander, this stuff's happening in broad daylight on U Street, 14th Street, populated areas. The most recent one, we had one on 14th Street where somebody tried to steal their moped broad daylight, and a guy fought back and he ended up getting shot, and they were all juveniles. So, I mean, it's a lot of brazen crimes and a lot of juvenile offenders. I mean, we've had robbery sprees where, I guess last month or the year before, it was 4 juvenile females that were responsible for, I think, close to 15 robberies in the robbery, force, and violence. And then last week or the week before, the 2D, 4D, and us, I think there was 8 robberies that all juveniles, stolen vehicle, and they were using a gun. So depending where you get the information from, me personally, I think it's more brazen, it's more out in the open, and it's happened everywhere throughout the district. And it's not happening at night during nightlife hours. It's not happening in certain neighborhoods. I mean, it's happened across the board. I mean, we had a homicide right down the street from our police station, 14th and 14th and V. I mean, that's, you could hear it. I mean, you had gunshot fragments were found down the street from our station right here. So it's,
What do you think, if anything, has contributed to that brazenness? Because I've heard that from people in other cities as well. It seems to be kind of pandemic. The one thing I've heard, that the pandemic kind of just shook everything out of whack. I don't know. Do you have their insight?
I don't know what these juveniles are. What the juveniles, like, that they're stealing cars and then they're robbing people. And some of it, like, just, we had a robbery. 2D had a carjacking. They end up catching the kids over in PSA 308, like Ridge Street and 5th Ridge and 5th and O. And the kids, I mean, they were wearing, like, $500 tennis shoes, like Canada Goose jackets. So they had, and they were robbing these people for nothing. They stole his car, they stole his cash, like some change. And I don't know if it's just like an adrenaline thing they're doing it for, or it's not like they're stealing it because they need the money. It's crazy. And then we've had cases where the parents get on scenes and the parents are like, okay, just let us know where he goes. They're not concerned what the repercussions are or if he's going to jail. That happened a couple weeks ago. Like, juveniles robbed the kid of his moped. We stopped them over by Howard University. One of the parents got on scene and they weren't concerned at all. They just like, where's he going to end up at? And it's just, I don't know who's to blame, who's not taking responsibility for this. I mean, on the news, I watch the news just like you do. They say it's the courts. The court says it's the police. It's just, I've been here since 2008, and I think, on top of low staffing, this is one of the things that's, I think, spawned from all this is the crime numbers, the lack of officers, and yeah. But like I said, if you DC crime cards, and then that's where I get all my stats, which are up to date to the minute. And then if you go to mpdc.dc.gov, you can get the police department stats that give the entire city. And if you look at this numbers, I mean, all the numbers are up. Like I said, the only thing's down out of all the categories is burglaries, and it's negligible. I mean, there was 378 at this time last year. There's 342. So you're talking about 30, 20 some less burglaries, but everything else is up.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
How do you classify the porch pirates? Those aren't burglaries, are they?
No, those are just all thefts. And I give you an example. We have a I can't remember her name, is a female who's probably been arrested 20 plus times for stealing Amazon packages, and she's been barred when they go to court, when they go to papering. The officers put in there, like, due to the quantity of thefts in this area, they want her barred from this later. So we've actually been able to just lock her up for breaking the barring notice that the judge put forth, and it doesn't seem to end. But those are just classified as thefts, and they're misdemeanors unless it's when for that individual and it's aggregated more than, I think, 5 or 6 times, they consider that a felony, and they'll hold them, but then they're still released before their court, and they just told to come back for court. And then most of the times, like I said, in order to be a felony, it has to be over $1,000. So they're all classified as misdemeanor thefts.
Thanks, Lieutenant Miller.
Nope.
A lot of these youth that you're catching for these crimes, are they DC youth, or are they youth from outside of the city?
Yeah, they're all DC youth, and most of them are repeat offenders. And because, like I said, you'll have like a group of 4 or 5 that really terrorize our district. And like I said, we had the scooter shop on 1200 block 11th Street, that DC scooter shop. They were robbed like 4 times in a row. First, it started off, they just breaking in, stealing stuff as a burglary. And then they started robbing them when they were open. And then they started using guns, and they robbed them at gunpoint. And it was like 6 people that, all juveniles. They were all known, and they got warrants. And when they searched their house, they found guns. And then, I mean, the one kid, his punishment was sent to a like a halfway house pending court, and he snuck out of there, and we had to arrest him like a week later on the street. He broke out, and he got caught committing more crimes. So nobody's coming into the city and committing these. These are all DC residents. Some of them live in the 3rd district. Some of them live outside of the 3rd district, but most of them are DC residents.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Yeah. It's like, I know on the meetings they talk about, I mean, the 3rd district has plenty of rec centers, outdoor areas, and there's just so much stuff. Even our police community outreach does events like weekly, trying to get the youths in the high school students. They're so young. These kids are like in 5th, 6th, 7th grade. They're not even high schoolers yet that are committing these crimes. And it's crazy that they have guns. It's crazy that they're stealing cars. And then if you just think about that, like a 12-year-old stealing a car and racing through the city committing crimes, it's like, it's crazy. And how many people are, and luckily nobody has gotten seriously injured for something. I mean, if you really think about that, like a 12-year-old driving somebody's car.
I have a 10-year-old, and
Yeah.
I can hardly imagine her riding a scooter, let alone.
And navigating these streets, stop signs, red lights, bike lanes, the way the parking's set up, the bus lanes. It's hard to be like a seasoned driver to drive in the city, and let alone a 12, 13-year-old with 4 other 14-year-olds and a kid running from the police or trying to hide or steal a car. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, we certainly appreciate all that you're doing, all that the rest of the officers there are doing. So please send them our thanks, and we appreciate the crime update every month that you all take the time to do. So thank you very much. I don't know if any of I think we only have 2 members, maybe Brian's here from the bid. I don't know if he has any questions. Otherwise, I think we can wrap this up early tonight.
I have
All
an
right.
unrelated comment.
Go ahead.
Well, it's not related to you at all. So I'll wait.
Well, if anybody has anything else for me, they can shoot me an email. And if before the next meeting, if you want me to address it then, or I can address it right away on an email, but I should be on my link, I guess, that I sent when I logged in here. StephenM.Miller@dc.gov. Any questions, I can get back to you.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant. We really appreciate your time.
No problem. Take care, guys.
Yep, and we'll hold the meeting open for just a minute if Commissioner Wood has something.
Yeah, we related to past meetings, the Adams Morgan moratorium zone resolution. APCA already got back. I'll forward it to all the commissioners, but they want to have a public hearing to review public inputs in July. So the process goes on. I think it's pretty standard protocol for them. So from what I can tell, based on my reading of record, it's pretty standard for the chair to give comments. So I'll say that they ask for people to submit intention to speak. So I'll do that, and we can collaborate. Anyone else wants to do so. There's no pressure to do so, of course, but felt worth bringing up just since we have the meeting tonight. I'll forward the message along when I get a chance.
Do you know the time that that's going to be on July?
It's listed. I can double check. It's July 14th. Let me take a look. I forget the time of day exactly. It's on a WebEx call, so that's helpful. 10:30 in the morning on Thursday, July 13th. Excuse me.
Okay, 10:30 in the morning on Thursday, July 13th. In case any members of the public watch this recording and would like to submit testimony to ABRA on the, or I guess it's ABCA now, on the liquor license moratorium potential expiration in Adams Morgan.
And I think that I'm pretty sure that they'll publicly post it on the ABCA website, but there's like an extra window of a day or something for written statements if people can't testify live. So
cool. I'll put this
another
down.
opportunity for public input.
I'll put this out in my notes for the meeting as well. And that way the neighborhood will have them.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yep. Cool. All right. Thank you, commissioners. With that, we'll